Good evening. I thought the thing was going to spin for another 10 minutes. Good evening. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the last West Ham Wednesday night of 2020. Everybody's favorite year. What a year it's been. Actually, we were about a month away from the 2-year anniversary of American Hammers TV, American Hammers Network. That was January 31st of 2019. Tim and I did our first show, just the two of us talking to each other. So, we're not far away from that. So maybe we'll do some special stuff for 2 years. We'll see. I don't know. But anyway, tonight's our last Wednesday night of 2020, obviously, tomorrow being New Year's Eve. And it's a busy time for fixtures. It's a busy time for West Ham. We've had a Craig Dawson sighting in rather spectacular fashion. We've seen more of Craig Dawson than we have of Ben Rama, I think. We've seen, a lot of rotating of the squad, as we've discussed. We'll get to all that in a minute. But first of all, I have to tell you what I always tell you, which is if you haven't done so, please like and subscribe to our channel. That helps us a lot. Helps us pay for StreamYard and keep things going. Go to AmericanHammers.net and buy cool American Hammers stuff, like the flag behind me right there, which I never know which way to point. The little one there, the American Hammers TV flag and other stuff like that. A lot of good West Ham stuff, American Hammers stuff. You can get a plaque with the name of a show on it if you want. You get all kinds of stuff. It's kind of cool. And remember, when you shop with American Hammers Network, you give money to the fans and not to Galt, Sullivan, and Brady. So, it's always the message. If you want to be on the show, let us know. If you're a West Ham fan anywhere in the world, you want to be on the show, tell us. Find us on social. You go to American Hammers TV at gmail.com, I think it is, or we're on Facebook, and we're on all the socials, even the ones I don't know anything about. Like, I think we have a Discord. Like, I don't even know what that is, but I think we have a Discord. So if you're on Discord, if that means anything to you, if that has any significance to you, then look us up. You'll find us, and we're there. So anyway, we have another excellent show coming up tonight with three fantastic guests. Of course, we have Selly, who's my co-host on Wednesday night. He's pretty much with me every Wednesday night, Selly. So it's good to have you here. I tell you what, could you just adjust there's a lot of light coming off your dome there, Selly.
That's fun. I should put the hat back on.
Wait, have you been shaving? You've had the hat on so many nights. Have you always shaved your head like that?
I just got this done the other day, but I let it grow out for a while just to see, how I liked it, and I didn't. So, so I got a haircut yesterday.
Fair enough. I was going to say, I thought the last time you were on, I saw some, something going up there. So
it definitely was something going up there.
Anyway, no, it looks good. It looks good. So Sally's here, as always, from Denver or Boulder, closer to Boulder, I guess. Kostya from our nation's capital. How's it going?
Hey, it's going pretty well. We finally have snow weather, but not a lot of snow. Just the right temperature is all.
It was cold
today. Can't complain.
Yeah. It was. We had, before Christmas, we had a foot of snow that fell, and then Christmas Eve and Christmas morning, it rained all night and all day, and so we had a foot of snow on the ground for a week, and then Christmas Day it was all gone, every bit of it. No white Christmas, just wet, mucky Christmas. So kind of disappointing, but what are you going to do? And then, of course, from the city of brotherly love, from the second cradle of American liberty after Boston, it's it's the only Englishman on the show tonight. It's John Nolan, host of Hammer Shots. Host of Friday Night Likes. What am I talking about? What am I talking about?
Adam's not going to be happy, is he?
He won Hammer Shots. Okay. He won Hammer Shots, and he hosts Friday Night Lights. And he lives in Philadelphia with Wally and Katie. They live in a big house, and it's like Big Brother. They're constantly filming themselves. Everything they do is on camera, and this is just what he does on Wednesday nights with us. How's it going, John?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. I'm not bad. I feel like I'm worn out. I was saying before we got on the show that we had nieces and nephews over today, and the boys' cousins, and we were outdoors and doing outdoor stuff, and we played a bit of football in the side yard. Soccer, not like American football, proper football. And all my nieces are players. All my nieces, I have 4 nieces, and 3 of them are here today, and they're all players. So one of them played varsity high school, and another one is going into high school. She's going to play. Even my little 7-year-old, my little 7-year-old niece is a pretty good little player. So they're running me ragged, man. They were all over me. Lily, who is 13, is she's just a little Ronaldo out there. You can't stop her. You can't even hope to stop her. So, anyway, let's talk about West Ham. The last time we were here, we had lost to Chelsea 3-0. We had 2 games coming up. Those were Brighton and Southampton. And I would, in my estimation, one was a disappointment and the other one was a little less of a disappointment. I think everybody was a little disappointed about the lineup for Brighton and kind of the going for a draw there.
Mhm.
And Southampton, on the other hand, going to what's it called? St. Mary's. It's not the Dell anymore. It's called St. Mary's. Going to St. Mary's and scratching out a draw and having Craig Dawson decapitate Che Adams. That kind of felt good. That didn't feel bad at all. Give me your take on the last week, and I will lead that into the next discussion, which will be what to do with David Moyes, because all of a sudden that's exploding all over social media. Costa, why don't we start with you? Tell me about Brighton and Southampton and what your takeaways were. Oh no!
I don't know if I was losing you there a little bit.
I think
My connection glitched in.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think I heard you. You were asking me. There must have been like a 2-second pause there where I was frozen or something. But I got the question, which is my impression is it's not a good one. My impression is that we have a singular system, which is completely broken without Masuaku and Antonio.
Yes.
And I think it's kind of funny because a year ago I was on Friday Night Likes, and I don't know if I got negative points, but I definitely got 0 points when I praised. I don't remember what the question was, but I made a point of praising Antonio. I think it was like who was man of the match or something. Mm-hmm. And I was up against Katie and I forget the other person, but I definitely did not get points for that. And they kind of jeered me for that. And at the time, it made sense to jeer me for that. And now, we're a 5 at the back team that's trying to play 4 at the back because we don't have enough depth.
Yep.
And I don't mind the idea of including Ben Johnson, but I'd have Ben Johnson as a left center back with Cresswell at left wing back and it's not as good as Masuaku and Cresswell, but at least it's closer. I didn't understand putting Johnson at left wing back. He did his darndest. Yeah, he scored a goal, but he on multiple occasions had to switch from his left foot to his right foot to put in a cross, and his crosses weren't great. So I think we're a one system team that doesn't have depth. Yeah. No, he's not a left back, and our lack of depth is what's hurting us. And we're going to get to the scapegoat Holler later, but I think he's a victim of a lack of depth and not having the right players around him in order to be successful. He has the right players for around Antonio, who's not there, and he's there temporarily instead of having a system around him that suits him. I could go on and on, but no, I'm disappointed with the last week and a half, and I think it shows that we didn't have a plan B, and some of that is Moyes, and some of that is letting players like Lucas Perez and Pedro Obiang leave without replacing them.
Absolutely. We talk a lot about that. We've talked about it all season long, that depth is a problem, that it would be a problem this time of the year, and it has proven to be a problem this time of the year. Selly, what was your take on the last couple of games?
The Brighton one.
Sorry. I have to know. I should have asked you before. What does HNY stand for? I don't know what that means.
Happy New Year.
Oh, I thought it was going to be something like. Anyway, Happy New Year to you.
Hail New York.
Sorry to be boring.
Really like a coded thing that's really cool, that like all the kids are into, but it just anyway.
No, I'm much less excited than you give me credit for, but I appreciate it. But no, I think the Brighton game it was pretty frustrating towards the beginning. I think a big part of it was that we set up defensively against a team that was there for the taking. And not only that, but a team that we haven't legitimately beat in a while. I think since they've been promoted, we haven't beaten them.
We have not beaten them. That's right. Yep.
Yeah. So, we've had some pretty exciting draws. Exciting might not always be the right word, but at the same time, I can appreciate the fact that we made the changes at halftime to get back into that game and rescue a point, since we never had the lead in that game. So I definitely will give Moyes and the boys credit for that. But to start off the game, the formation I didn't like. I didn't understand why we'd have 8 defensive-minded players to start that game, and Noble in that number 10 role doesn't make any sense to me ever. But the Southampton game, I could definitely appreciate getting a point on the road.
Yeah.
Hopefully when Tim comes on, he'll be forced to say something positive about Fabianski, with another clean sheet. But
Tim is supposed to come on, so we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Well, he sometimes makes it, sometimes doesn't. But yeah, if he does, we'll see what he says about Fab, because Fab was really good at that game.
Yeah, but I think the one thing I took away as a negative from the Southampton game is our service on set pieces was really poor almost all night. And I think that might be the biggest reason of why we didn't get a goal. We had a lot of tall players in there with Dawson, included, that anybody could choose from to get a header into, and we just couldn't find it. Sometimes the balls were poor, we'd play it short. We were one of the best teams in the league on set pieces and corners, but yet we wanted to play a different way of set pieces. So that was really head scratching. I don't understand it. But I think that was a negative. By the end of the day, we got a point on the road, and I'll take that 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. By the way, Vernon, I just wanted, before we get to John, this intro was like 6 minutes. The outro is going to be a lot longer than that. So don't, if you're smart, you're not going to bet on the intro. John, give us what you thought about the last couple.
Brighton was a shocker, wasn't it? Absolute shocker. I mean, why go into that match with that setup, with that formation, with those players? Why do we not want the ball? If there's any team in the league and there's a handful of them, that we should want the ball, Brighton, we should want the ball. We should want to dominate possession. We should want to be on the front foot. We should want to be the ones to create the chances and dictate the tempo and the pace of the match. It was absolutely ridiculous to me that we just see there wasn't a player out there that wanted to get their foot on the ball, control it, and keep it in a West Ham shirt. It made no sense to me. I don't understand. I mean, again, to agree with Selly, I mean the changes at halftime certainly helped, and Moyes, I think, said that after the match. So in retrospect, it was the wrong lineup, but I don't know if it needed retrospect to know that was what was going to happen going into that match with that lineup. I mean, that was pretty obvious to everybody involved. This was the game where if you're going to start Ben Rama, start him. This was the game where if you want Lanzini involved, this was the game to do that. So, yeah, a little disappointing there.
And can I just say something that drives me crazy about that Brighton lineup is that I believe Moyes said in a press conference, or implied it, that because of the quick 2 games in 3 days, you have to have rotation. Well, then if you have no choice but to play Noble, why are both Rice and Souček on the pitch for both of these matches? If you're going to play Noble, which is a liability, you would think you would take Souček off to rest him, or something like that. Like that I would have understood. And then you would have had to be a little bit more adventurous in a different way. But he didn't do that. He played all 3 of them, which all 3 of them are slow. 2 of them have other redeeming qualities, though, right? Noble's past his best. And if you're going to play Nobes, I get it. We don't have any depth. And that's why I think center mid is more important in the transfer window and left back than striker is, even though Josh King's the first person on everybody's list. I think we need center mid and left back way further. But I don't understand starting Noble, but then starting the other 2 center mids. I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
If I had the big John Nolan thumb from Friday Night Lights or Hammer Shots or whichever show it is he hosts,
I got a point.
I would give the thumb. Yeah, no, I'm with you on the left back and center mid completely. I mean, I was honestly, it's weird to me because I felt as though we should have come out of those 2 games with a minimum of 4 points. And I'll tell you why. The draw with Brighton would not have bothered me if we'd beaten Southampton. Okay. Brighton's a bogey team for us for whatever reason. I don't know why, it just is. Look at the record. We have not beaten Brighton. Now, granted, they haven't been in the top tier very much, okay? But we have not beaten them in the top tier in the league since something like 1983. Since they were promoted, however many years ago it was, we've drawn or lost to Brighton every game. It's like 6-7 games now, However, Southampton, we have a really good record against Southampton. recently and historically, Southampton is the club we have beaten most in the Premier League in the last, almost 30 years. Since we both came up together in 2012, our record against them is something like 9 wins and 3 losses and 4 draws. I can't remember. It's heavily in our favor. I kind of thought that you could justify the Brighton draw if we went to Southampton and got 3 points, but that didn't happen. And that bothered me. That's what bothered me, I think, more than anything else. But yeah, I mean, on the face of it, why would you not go for it against Brighton? That's you look at the 3 games that are crammed in together, Brighton, Southampton, and Everton. And obviously, the one you want to try to win is Brighton at home, and that felt like the most cautious lineup of all. So and then that sparked the whole Moyes out movement again, which is starting to gain steam on social media. Which, as we've talked about before, I think that represents about an eighth of the West Ham fan base, maybe not even on social media, maybe 10%, maybe less. But it's gotten people to questioning him again, and I think it's not without reason.
I think one of the biggest things that I've taken away as a negative from Moyes' decision, specifically for Benrahma, is when he was saying that he didn't like his efforts in the game that he started a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
I understand and I get it, but at the same time, if you're going to bench players for poor performances, you'd have a whole new starting 11 almost every week. So
yeah. Well, you'd never play Mark Noble again, would you? I mean, come on.
Well,
you wouldn't
sure.
have it after 2 weeks in a row. I mean, you wouldn't.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I mean, and it's something that we've all said repeatedly on this show, is that the only way that somebody can get better is if they play. I was honestly genuinely surprised at how good of a performance Craig Dawson put in, because he had never played for us all year. Not even a single minute. So I mean, the fact
he played in the U23s though.
Yeah, they had a terrible game too.
If that counts for something, yeah, they did play. Was it against Preston or something?
Where they lost like 3-0 or something like that. Yeah.
With Yarmo. Yarmo was in there as well.
Yarmo was in there too. Yeah, it was a poor performance. Yeah, but their U23s are not good. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, the entire U23s are loaned out, all the better players. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, it's and not only that, but I mean, he sat people after pretty good returns, in the sense of like Benrahma had he might have had a couple hiccups, but he wasn't the reason that we lost the game, and then he benched him. And then Johnson, I don't know why you would necessarily want to bench somebody who got his first goal for the club, but he did, which is a little unfortunate. But I don't know. I think some of his decisions are really head scratching, and I don't understand it. And I know we'll probably get into Everton soon, but I don't want to forget this point. And speaking about Noble coming in for Rice or Souček, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Noble does start for one of those two. But if they're both out and Snodgrass is the other one, I would not be surprised to see that at all.
We will get obliterated if that's our 2 cents.
We'll get obliterated if Noble plays at all during that game, but I think it's going to happen.
We'll get absolutely murdered if that's our 2 center mids.
Everton is one match for me where if we come out with a draw, I'll be thrilled. I fully expect to lose this game. They're a bogey team for us anyway. We're going to Goodison where we never ever win. We never get a result. Have you guys watched Ted Lasso? Have you guys watched the show Ted Lasso?
The full season. Yeah, I see you on Twitter. You're just like you're having these moments of epiphanies where I remember watching the show a few weeks ago, and it's funny to see someone else have the same sort of reactions as I do.
I finished it last night, and my wife and I watched it in about we watched it in like 3 days, But anyway, there's an Everton subplot in there, and I don't want to give it away, we'll spoil it, but we don't do well, we don't do well. His team doesn't do well at Everton. Our team doesn't do well at Everton. So I'll be thrilled with the draw, which is again is I know Rob likes it has no business being as good as it is. It's such a good show. It's so very good. Yeah. It's just way better than it should be.
You guys are giving everyone too much credit.
Do you think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you looked at the table? Do you remember their League Cup?
They're doing very well, John.
Yeah, they're decent, but they're beatable. I mean,
they're gonna be without Digne, without James Rodriguez, and is it Allen who also might be out?
Allen's out too.
At least
But-
they're weakened, but I think Southampton was weakened as well. Southampton didn't have Vestergaard.
Well, I mean, no
And,
team is
another-
100% right now. So, I mean, to be honest, that's not an excuse for any team. And
No, but we're
I'm
not
never a
100%, and we're not the same
We're
team.
not
so-
100% either.
No, yeah, I mean, I've never been a big fan of that being an excuse for anything. Not being a full thing, but at the same time, I mean, I know Goodison Park isn't it's not a place where we traditionally do well, but recently I feel like we've done pretty well. Because we did Pellegrini's first year. That was our first one of the season. Yarmo had that double there that was really nice, and then a couple years before
that's
that,
right. Yeah, you're right. That's true. You're right. That's true. Yep.
And then a couple years before that, we had that pretty epic comeback against them. And I
was
don't know if there was a
win.
win. Yeah, I don't know if there was a win in between there. So, I mean, we've had more recent success there than we have at most other away grounds. But at the same time, I mean, I feel like Southampton. I feel the same way going into Everton that I did against Southampton, and that it's going to be a game to where we're obviously not going to have a lot of the ball. We need to capitalize on opportunities, and again in the Southampton game, we didn't. It's not as if Southampton, was really dominating us.
This is true. No, it's not.
Yeah,
and Holly's right. If without Lukaku, they don't get the automatic 1 to 2 goals that they always had when he was there. I thought we'd beat Southampton. Now, we didn't talk about the match much when we were on our show last because it was two games away. I was very confident we'd beat Southampton because we tend to beat Southampton. And I thought that, it was kind of a boring game. Neither team played particularly well. I hate these festive fixtures. I know it's a tradition in England, but cramming 6 games into December and 7 games into like 3 weeks or whatever it is, it's crazy to me. And it gets a lot of mediocre. It produces a lot of mediocre football. Look at all the games that have turned out to either be boring draws, like Newcastle and Liverpool 0-0 today, or you had like Leeds went off on West Brom 5-0. You don't have a lot of good football in this period. It's a lot of rotating squads, and it's just a complaint that I've always had. But yeah, I am. I'm still baffled. I mean, I am. I'm still baffled by Brighton, only because again, you look at this series of matches and you think that's the one you got to go for. And again, if we had come out and beaten Southampton, it might have justified it, but we didn't. So I feel as though we've dropped at least. I thought we'd get 4 points out of these 2 games potentially. We certainly got. We dropped a minimum of 2. And yeah, I think there's some truth to this too, Trevor. I mean, Moyes is going to get a lot of flack for things that aren't his fault. He doesn't get the players he wants. He wanted Tarkowski, he didn't get him. He wanted Josh King, he didn't get him. He may get him in January, we don't know. We know that there are players he wanted, he didn't get. And we know there are players he did not want that he did get. He didn't want Benrahma, and he got him. Now I think Benrahma could be very good for us, and I think Benrahma should be getting more minutes. There's something about him Moyes doesn't like, and he talked about it. He says he doesn't make good decisions when he shoots. He's not very good in possession. He gave some specific reasons why Benrahma's not getting more minutes, and they weren't totally insane. So I don't know. What do you guys? What's your thought? I think we should bring up the futures of a few players here, and let's start with Benrahma. Do you want to see more of him? Do you think Moyes is justified in what he's saying? To me, Benrahma is a guy who has moments of electricity, but also long spells of mediocrity. And he's young, and he's just coming out of the championship. So do you think he's worth 90 minutes at this point against Everton? What do you want to see from him? Anybody who wants – Costa, you were ready to go.
I mean, I have a big conflict when I think about Benrahma internally because I really want to like him.
I do too.
I'm a French speaker. I support our Francophone players. Yeah.
Is that right?
I'm a mutt. I've got English, I've got French, I've got Belgian.
Tu parles français?
Oui, je parle français. Oui, okay, we're gonna lose like 12 people right now.
I know we were.
We cannot do this. This will have to be the off air, but that's cool. That's really cool.
I did not know that about you, Kasia. That's
cool. Oh well, of course you lived in Saint Etienne, so of course you speak French. It should have clicked with me earlier, like. If the guy lived in Saint Etienne, he gets to speak a little bit of French, right?
Actually, I've only been to Saint Etienne once for the game. I lived in Paris, but that's okay. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's France.
And
it's a small country.
I was a big fan of a certain Algerian francophone player when I was a kid named Zidane. I mean, he played for France, but when you look at his highlights and how he plays the game, it's all very exciting. But in the back of my mind, the thing I can't stop thinking about is that Will Salthouse is his agent. and I feel like he might be a kind of like a expensive Modibo Maiga. Like that
Ooh,
David Sullivan. David
yeah,
Sullivan. I'm not saying that Ben Rama is going to have a career like Maiga. I think Ben Rama could turn out very successful, if not with us, with the next team he's on.
yeah.
But I think that Moyes, exactly as you just said, was like, spend all our money on Tarkowski and the leftovers on Josh King.
Yeah, that's what he
Sullivan
wanted.
looked
Yeah.
at that and went, oh man, that's going to be at least 40, 50 million. I don't want to do that.
And Moyes
Let me
didn't
just
want to
hook
sell
up a
Grady
sweet
either.
deal with my favorite agent, right? Because the Ben Rama deal is 25 million, supposedly. But you know there's installments, and when you work with the agent that
we'll pay it off over 40
favor,
years. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So that Ben Rama deal, by the way, we took out a loan. No money paid by Sullivan or Gold on that. That's another loan that adds to the debt, by the way. So we've paid off Haller. Now we have to pay off Ben Rama, which is why we won't have much January signings. So I actually really, so besides that little, tidbit there that drives me nuts, that he's Salthouse's client and that I don't think he's Moyes' player, I'd really like to see him play. And I actually think he could outlast Moyes. I think he could stay with us through to the next manager. And I think Moyes, we might not even renew his contract, depending on how much he continues to struggle. I think Sullivan loves that signing. It's a fancy signing. It's he loves it to sign attacking players. That's why we've always got center midfield and fullback positions are neglected. And defense, it's always free signings and stuff, because Sullivan likes to spend money on forwards. And so Ben Rama's another example of that. And so that's why I have like that caveat to it. But I actually want to see the guy play a lot more, because I think he's the only way that Sebastian Haller can be successful. Because it's not with Cresswell hesitant at the back because he's not in a back five anymore, and Fornal cutting inside because he's not really a left mid. So,
because he's not a left winger. Yeah, exactly.
I want to see a lot more.
I know, John, I've read some of your comments here and there on Twitter, and you've talked about Ben Rama a little bit here on the show. What's your take on him? I have seen him compared to Payet, and I think that's outrageous. All right. It's only because, first of all, he's not that good. And secondly, we wouldn't know if he was that good. He's played like 90 minutes, 120 minutes for us total, something like that. What do you think about him?
I think it's too early to tell. Like you said, I think he's been here 5 minutes. It's very hard to judge. Looking at his...
This is interesting from Vernon. I didn't know this, but that's interesting.
Looking at his body of work so far for West Ham, seems like he's very inefficient with the ball, and that needs to change.
And that's what Moyes said. That's what Moyes said.
If you're going to be a Premier League player, you have to know when to pass. You got to know when to shoot. You got to know when to realize that the best opportunity isn't necessarily the one for you. Maybe it's the one for somebody else. I do like that he's got into the right positions to score. I think he's got a goal or two, hasn't he? And he's set up one or two so far. He had that shot that was blocked on the line in the Southampton match. So he's in the right positions to make impacts. I like what I've seen there. He's got a couple of nice step overs and movement. I like that he actually likes attacking and going towards the goal instead of running sideways, which is a criticism I've had of Lanzini for quite a while.
Yes.
And maybe it's just eagerness. Maybe he's new and he's eager and he wants to show that he's good and he wants to do something, or he wants to score a spectacular goal from outside the box. But that's why he's trying a bit too hard. So I'm hoping that he settles down. I'm hoping that he gains a bit of self-confidence where he doesn't need to over-try, if you know what I mean. Just settle in, be one of the team, and make sure that you're making the best decisions possible, not the decision that is gonna lead to the spectacular, but the decision that is best for the team. So I'm hopeful. I mean, he's got skills. You can see he's got skills. He's quick. He's nimble. He turns very well. He can pass. Seems like he can shoot. I mean, he seems decent. It's just a matter of time. What's going to separate? What separates decent to good is decision making. He's got the tools now. Just use them correctly. So I'm hopeful, but it's too early to tell.
Well, and you see all these clips of him, for Brentford, doing these fantastic techers and dribbling around defenders. He's not going to do that in the Premier League. Not when he first comes up. He's not. It's a different level. I think you're right. I think he has made some bad decisions. everything David Moyes said about him, needs to make better decisions with the ball. He needs to be better in possession. I mean, it was all true. There was nothing he said seemed out of line to me. Anyway, Sally, what's your take on Saeed?
I think I don't know. I think he gets a brown of a stick because I think when you think about what Ben Rama has done and what he's failed to do, honestly, it's something similar to the same lines as what Bowen has done and what he's failed to do. Because I think it's very clear that Bowen, as John said, that he is a player that goes for the spectacular and could have better decision making as far as looking for the pass instead of going for the shot. But the one thing with Bowen that Ben Rama doesn't have going for him is that he's been able to play and kind of sort it out. I know
right.
whether he's excited or not, like we always say, he just needs time to get adjusted. You're not going to get adjusted in practice. You're not going to get adjusted watching the game from the bench and playing 20 minutes every week. Yeah. Because I think that's even worse. You have 20 minutes to come in. Why wouldn't you do what you can to show why you should be starting? So I think that's even worse to where, and I think Ben Rama is a pass first kind of dude outside of shooting, but obviously his mistakes have been there. But like I said, I think he doesn't do anything that Bowen doesn't do.
I think there's a lot of similarities between them, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he just gets a brand of a stick because he's not the guy that Moyes wanted to bring in. Which how many players on this team is somebody that Moyes wanted to bring in? In either one of his stints.
Two. I think Suchek and Sufal. I'm sure there are any others. Yeah. I mean, he didn't want to sell Grady.
Well, Bowen as well, right?
Right.
So
you're
three.
right, Bowen. You're right. Three. He didn't want to sell Grady. We sold Grady. He didn't want to buy Ben Rama. We bought Ben Rama. It's whatever his judgment is. He's not getting to be the manager really. But I think your comparison to Bowen, Selly, is a really good one. Exciting players, quick, flashy, but they don't always make good decisions. And
yeah, well, and I guess just to kind of
do that
just
stuff.
To sum up, just to sum up my point for Ben Rama, I think it's more beneficial to play him to see what he can do because we can see his upside than it is to start somebody who has no business being in the starting 11.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we don't need to see Mark Noble again. I'm sorry, but I think we all know that.
Well, here's the thing with that comparison, though, too, Sally, and the only point I'd pull you up on is that Bowen does the defensive work, and that was obviously lacking when Yarmolenko's in the team on the right-hand side. I mean, Bowen will do that side of the ball. I don't think you're getting that out of Ben Rama. That's the major difference I would compare between those two for that comparison. And I don't know if he's ever going to be able to do that. And that's the point entirely about why didn't we start him against Brighton, where if we wanted to keep possession and keep the ball, that's the one match in this handful of matches where we probably should have had less defensive work to do. That was the time. It made no sense. And
no sense. Yep.
I think Moyes was talking out of his ass because at the same time, talking about squad rotation, and the next match you rotate in and he rotates Lanzini in. You're not getting defensive production out of Lanzini either, really, very minimal. So if it was about squad rotation, you would have rotated Lanzini in the match before and not the match against Southampton either. So I think that was kind of an old shit reaction to I need to put out something a little bit different because nobody was happy about how Brighton went.
Yeah, I mean, I said on social media, I said on Twitter, let's judge Moyes after January 1st. I think, and we've talked about that. Sally, you and I have talked about that all season.
Yeah, after the January window.
After the January window, or right, exactly. Even after January 1st, maybe February 1st, after the January window. Let's see how he does through the festive fixtures with the thin squad. Let's see who he brings in, who he lets go. And then let's talk about a new contract for him after that. I think that makes a lot of sense. But the Brighton game was a huge miss by him, though, a huge miss, and it does make you question. It does make you question his judgment a little bit. On the other hand, look where we are. Quite confident.
Yeah, I mean, we just don't seem to be a club that, in general, prepares very much. We don't
That's
prepare.
true.
We don't prepare in the boardroom for stadium migrations. We don't prepare on the scouting level for future talent because we don't have scouts. We don't prepare for a manager to have a system implemented long term because we change manager every 2 years. And so we just, as my friends on KUMB like to say, have the scatter gun out.
Yep.
And so they use the scatter gun expression the most for how Sullivan deals with transfers, which is agent here, big World Cup name here, big former Manchester City player who can't quite cut it anymore. Just do whatever. Yeah. And it seems to be a Moyes problem too, because he knows he's got not enough depth. It's not like he doesn't know that. Yeah. So if you have 5 at the back system, you would think that you would want continuity. Mm-hmm. And so when you have a player like Masuaku hurt, why do you revert to 4 at the back?
I don't know.
Just because he's gone. Now there's a greater problem here, which is that we sell players and we don't replace them. We've done that multiple years in a row. This is why I brought up Pedro Obiang and Lucas Perez. How great would it be to have them right now?
I would love Lucas Perez.
Lucas Perez.
Really?
Lucas Perez.
Talk about those two.
No. I don't care. John. They're better than what we have now. Obiang would be a perfect spell for Souček or Rice if they can't play 2 games in 3 days. Perez would be who you bring in as a sub, or even start him instead of Haller. If you want a different look, okay. But my general comment though is that every Premier League club needs to have 2 players at every position, and we don't have 2 left mids, and we don't have 2 strikers.
We don't have 2 scouts.
We don't have 2 scouts.
Lucas Perez, 15 appearances for West Ham United, 3 goals. 15 appearances.
I don't care. He was in top 3 in La Liga scoring last season.
No, Costa, I'm agreeing with you. Yeah. I'm agreeing with you. No, I'm not.
His percentage with us was very good in a few amount of games. Yeah,
it's not even that. 15 appearances tells you nothing. It doesn't tell you anything at all. And I mean, I think those are league appearances. I think those are. I don't know. It's Wikipedia doesn't always have things properly organized.
I don't know. I don't think Perez was built for the Premier League. I don't know if I agree with that one.
Would you take him over Allaire right now?
I'd take him over the non-existent backup to Allaire right now.
Yeah.
Well,
I wouldn't take him over Allaire.
Well, I got a question. I got a question for all you guys, and I don't think this would cost the team any money, but it was something I was thinking about. Would you rather, for the left wing back, would you recall Anderson, or would you sign Diego Costa? If you could only do one, which I don't think either one cost you money, because
Costa will cost you wages. He'll get you on a free. You get him on a free, but it'll cost you wages.
Yeah. Well, if you could only do one right now, because both of them would fill a need.
How old is he? He was 40 when he was 18.
He's at least 57 now.
Is he?
Yeah, he's one of those guys. Like the birth certificate is it's not very meaningful because where is he? Usually you get a lot of guys who come from Africa who like when Canu came to Arsenal, he was 19 and he had huge wrinkles in his forehead. Diego Costa kind of reminds me. I know he's not from Africa, but he reminds me of the same type of thing. I don't want Felipe Anderson back. I don't think anybody wants Felipe Anderson right now, except Dave, apparently. Anderson all day long. So there you go.
I would take him back purely on a depth, because we don't have enough players. That's why I would take him back.
Anderson was
Diego would
give him a shot instead of Fornals. Someone has to play left mid.
Anderson was a cancer on this team. He did not try.
No, he's not a bad guy.
No, he's not a bad guy, but he didn't put forth any effort. Yeah,
but a cancer, disrupt. Arnautovic is a cancer.
Okay, then he was.
Felipe's just Eeyore. Okay,
then he was a bad
down in the dumps, and he doesn't think he's good anymore.
Yeah, maybe
he needs to go back to Serie A.
Maybe he won't kill you, but he may make you sick. You know what I mean? It's like playing with the flu. You're going out there and you got a big weakness because he's not trying. He doesn't try at Porto either. No, he doesn't. I don't know what he's doing. Honestly, he's got some sort of crisis. I
Yeah.
don't want him. I don't want him back. I don't want him back. But Dave wants him back. Now, anybody? Do you guys want?
Over Costa, yeah.
Do you think really because of Costa's age?
I just think that when we sign players that are over the hill, they show up over the hill. When have we ever signed a guy over 34? We're like, oh wow, he's still got a couple years.
You didn't like Samir Nasri?
No,
Samir Nasri
Samir Nasri did well, but I think Samir was 32, 33.
He played like
he that old?
He played like 3 games for us too, right? I don't think he played for us.
It hasn't been
was a
since
pro, but
Teddy
he was
Sheringham
Mhm.
that's worked. But Teddy Sheringham still wasn't good. I mean, he was good enough for a mid-table team as a 40-year-old.
That goes back
But,
like 25 years too. Teddy Sheringham goes back to when does that go back to?
No, Sheringham played with us in the
2003?
mid to yeah.
2003. Okay, so almost 20 years. A long time anyway. Yeah, Diego Costa is 32, and I'm also 32. No, maybe he really is 32. He's Brazilian, right? I mean, I don't know. He just looks older than 32 to me. But yeah,
he's that massive injection of pace that we need.
And he's proven in the Premier League too.
What's Moyes going to do when Costa starts yelling at him from the pitch to put Benrahma on? And I don't know. I guess probably none of you saw the Cesc Fabregas interview clip that came out talking about Costa yelling at Antonio Conte to put Fabregas on because Fabregas had played well the previous game and had been on the bench all year. And then as soon as Fabregas came on, he gave Costa an assist to win the game against West Brom.
Right.
There's Tim.
What's going on? What did I miss?
Hey, what's happening?
We're talking about Diego Costa, Tim.
Tim's got the heater working. He got the heater
We just had a 10-minute discussion on how great Fabianski's clean sheet was.
and how Ryan Fredericks was 100% the man of the match against Southampton. So we were
Dawson and Fredericks did a great job, didn't they?
Fredericks did do a good job, except crossing. But
Dawson
I thought he was really good.
Dawson did the Cobra Kai move on Che Adams, just like no mercy. It took his head off, man. How was that not a penalty, by the way? Am I just crazy or?
It's completely unintentional. It's momentum.
Okay, I mean, I guess, but I don't know, man.
The player didn't have to go down like that. I mean, it was definitely if that was going to be carded, that would have been carded. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
it's that catch-22, John. It's one of those things where the defense plays like shit, and then there's too many chances, and then Fabianski doesn't, block any of them. Well, our defense actually did the trick today or yesterday, and prevented that from happening. He didn't really have anything to do, not much.
He will never give Fabianski credit ever. You know this, right?
To be honest, he just kind of did in a way by saying that.
Anything.
Yeah,
No. I'm saying he gave Fabianski a bailout by saying when the defense plays bad, Fabianski plays bad. Well, that's quite obvious.
Well, that's what you guys.
When the defense plays well,
that's what you guys always say. It's never his fault, ever. Anyway,
no, I think sometimes it is.
I mean, I don't think so.
It was against Liverpool last season. It was totally his fault. I mean, he botched that game.
That's because he was recovering from an injury.
No, he wasn't.
Okay, that's fine. But I'm just saying it was still his fault. But I mean,
it's a point.
Year, I think he's been
win.
okay.
You know what I mean, like I'll take it.
I think he's been okay, fine, nothing special. I don't blame him necessarily
Looking
for
at that
losses.
lineup before the match, though, did we expect a point out of that, though?
I didn't expect it
for Southampton or for Brighton.
I didn't expect a point out of either one. We were just talking about Brighton.
Really, but yeah,
Tim, that starting 11 against Brighton is baffles all of us. There's not a West Ham fan I've talked to.
They both baffled me, being honest with you. But yeah, whatever. I mean, we move on.
Well, I mean, let's talk about it then. We've been kind of beating around the bush a little bit on this all night. So, where are we with David Moyes? Are you a Moyes backer? I'll tell you how I feel. I still think he's the best we can do for the time being. I think he will work with our owners in a way that most managers wouldn't. I think he has enough experience to guide us to a mid-table finish, which right now I consider a success with the owners we have. Because remember, success for them is 17th, right? Success for them is just stay up. That's all they want to do. The better we do, the less they invest. That's the inverse relationship we have, So I don't. What Moyes did against Brighton baffled me, angered me. I don't know what it was. I don't know what he was thinking. It restarted the whole Moyes out movement, but I'm still backing him only because I think he's good enough to make us good enough to be safe. But I don't know, Tim. Why don't you start? You just joined in. What do you think about Moyes right now, Tim? You renew his contract?
I wouldn't extend him, but at the same time, we're not going down with him. I mean, I don't think. With the players that we have, even if we didn't sign anybody in January, which I don't think we will.
I don't think we will.
I mean, even if we did, it wouldn't be anybody noteworthy. He doesn't attract big names. The board is definitely not attracting any big names to this club in January. So no. I'm not expecting anything. But the point is, he's put us in a position right now where I really don't think we're going to be fighting for relegation, even if we keep him for the remainder of the season.
Right. Unless Rice or Souček goes down, but that's that's not his fault. That's not his fault if that happens. That's you can't. I mean, that's the owner.
Or if Rice leaves or whatever. I mean,
right.
I don't.
That'd be
I don't.
That
I mean, even if we do lose him, or if we lose either of those to injury, I don't think that's going to crush us like Roberto crushed us last year.
No, it won't. I agree with that. I agree. Not the same thing.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine regardless. I would rather have somebody else in the position as manager, but I honestly don't even know who that would be right now. I don't know who in their right mind would want to come to this club with these fucking owners.
I'll tell you what. I asked the question on Twitter earlier this week after the Brighton game. I asked the question on Twitter because while these Moyes out people, I wanted to know, well, who's your choice to come in? Not many people wanted to name names. I didn't get many responses. Somebody mentioned the manager, one of the Italian managers, I think at Fiorentina or someplace. I don't really know who it was. Somebody mentioned the Southampton manager. I don't know why he would come to us. I mean, he's at a club very much like West Ham right now, except with better owners. And then somebody mentioned Potter from Brighton, who again, I mean, that's sort of an intriguing. But it's not like I look at him and think, oh, there's our savior.
No.
I didn't see a name that stood out to me, any realistic name that stood out to me enough that I said to myself, we got to have that guy.
Robbie said it well. Robbie Hart said it in the chat. He says, "I think Moyes suits us until we get new owners." I mean,
that's how I feel too.
I don't see anyone in their right mind wanting to come to this club to deal with what we have.
No, I don't either.
No. Unless it's literally just for a paycheck. I mean,
it's a public shit show, and everybody knows it is.
Yeah,
and that's the
problem.
At
this point, everybody can smell it.
Yeah, it's not secret. It's everybody knows. I don't know, Selly. What do you think about Moyes? We'll go bounce back up and down here. What do you think about Moyes, Selly?
I don't know. It's really interesting with him because I think I do not think we're going to go down with him. I mean, we're sitting 10th, 23 points. And we have one more game left in the year, almost halfway through the season.
Far better than last season. Far better
than last season. Yeah. I mean, the one thing with him, I mean, it's obvious he doesn't get backed. But the other thing, too, is he's not helping himself right now, which is funny because the other day I literally said he was helping himself enough to get an extension. But with the past two games, I don't think he is, with just with the selections. Not that the Southampton selection was bad, in my opinion, but, like we all said, he should have went for it, against Brighton.
Yeah.
And I get, with Ben Rama, he's not your guy. Start him anyways because, you don't have anybody better on the bench.
Right.
You definitely need to give Souček and Rice a rest sometime soon because one of those guys is going to get hurt just from
I worry about that too. Yeah. Declan played every minute for us last season, keep in mind. He can't do that forever. He can't go on forever like that.
Nope.
Right, yeah. No, I mean, 100%. But I think I don't know. Like for me, with West Ham, just staying up isn't good enough. I don't enjoy finishes below 10th. I'm gonna just be honest because we don't have on paper a team that's a below 10th team on paper. So I think the below 10 teams are like the teams that are just happy enough to be in the Premier League. But we need to be one of those teams Yeah, fighting for at least Europe. I'm not saying that we.
But if he keeps putting out weird lineups like he has the last 2 matches, like I honest to God thought that he did that for a reason, kind of to stick one to the owners or whatever, or say, you know what, I don't want an extension, so I'm going to just tank this right now.
I wondered about that.
Sure, but at the end of the day, that's not going to. That's not going to help anybody if he puts out.
We're not going to win many more games if he does it like that, though. That's my point. If he continues doing it like that,
right?
And that's why he's perfect for us. It's because he makes those wonky decisions. Because a Champions League manager isn't making those wonky decisions. And as much as he seems like this veteran who should know exactly what to do after being a manager at 2 Premier League clubs and a La Liga club. No, 3 Premier League clubs, excuse me. And then now West Ham being the 4th. Like, you'd think he wouldn't do stuff like that. And to me, it's like there's no disagreement over that. There's not even 10% of West Ham fans that are like, I can understand the Brighton lineup. He wanted to start off conservative and then throw in some attackers after halftime. Nobody's saying that, And so it baffles my mind. Like, you have so much experience and you're playing Noble with Suchik and Rice in the middle.
Yeah.
And you don't trust our most creative player, so you want to play a center mid at left mid instead because the other guy's at Porto? Like, what is going on? Like, with some of these decisions, I just, every time that I really want to like him and I'm like, oh, maybe he is a top flight manager, he makes some ridiculous decision like this.
You know what, Kostya? That's exactly how I felt about Brighton. I had been backing him, and listen, nobody cares what I say. All right, I'll acknowledge. Nobody cares what I say. I go on Twitter. People read it, people don't. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I had been backing him on Twitter to the extent that people even followed me on Twitter and saying, I think he's the best we can do for now. And then he pulls this Brighton thing, and it's like, that's hard to justify, But John, you haven't said anything for a while. What's your take on
people are getting upset about a draw? How fucking privileged are West Ham right now that we get upset about a draw?
I feel a little shame. I feel a little shame coming over here too. I feel a little shame.
It's because of who it's against.
Come on, I know, but look
we
at
haven't beaten
so
them.
far. We should have beaten Arsenal. We beat Wolves. We beat Leicester. We drew with Spurs. We drew with Man City. We were in the match with Liverpool. We've been in every single match we've played. We're doing all right. Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Give him Masuaku, we'll eat for a fucking season. We have 2 major injuries, Masuaku and Antonio, out.
Yeah.
What do you want the guy to do? What the fuck do you want him to do? We can't even play.
I already told you what I want him to do.
We don't have the personnel.
John,
we don't have the personnel.
John, yes, we do. You have to get creative, but it works. You put Ben Rama on the left. Fornals can sit on the bench. Cresswell's at left wing back. Put Ben Johnson or Dawson or Diop in with Balbuena and Ogbonna. I don't even care which of the 3 of them it is, but keep your back 5. You're telling me about Leicester, Wolves, Manchester City. You know what we have in common with all those games that we played well? We had a back 5. So why do you switch back to a back 4 with Cresswell, who all of a sudden isn't getting assists because he's scared shitless because he's not fast enough anymore to be a left back? He's a left center back. That's exactly what he should be doing. And instead of doing that, we have look, that's the problem.
We had a back 5 against Brighton.
Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. He's not sticking to the plan. He switched, and it doesn't make sense.
It was never a plan. That's why, Kostya. It was never a plan.
Yes,
that Masuaku Cresswell actress is not a plan. It's a hiccup. It's a mistake. It is a workaround because we don't have a proper left back.
But it worked. But it
you
worked.
take Masuaku out of the equation, plan's gone to shit. Plan B has gone to shit. We're now on plan C. I'm not having Ben Rama try and fucking defend and get in front of Cresswell and cover his ass.
Ben Rama does not have to defend. You have a back 5.
2 seasons and broke his confidence so fucking bad he can't even play in Portugal right now. So you're gonna go ruin our next fucking player defending in front of Cresswell? Get the fuck out of here.
I will say if Ngakia was still here, we wouldn't have an issue at left back. I'll just say that. If Ngakia was here, we'd still play it back 4 with him, possibly Johnson or somebody else on the right-hand side, because Ngakia was going to be our left back of the future, and I think he was. He
I
wasn't
don't know.
terrible, but I think he was showing that.
I would say that our only hope is to move Sufel to the Masuaku position and let Fredericks play right back.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
I can't believe it, but yeah.
And Sufal cross with his left.
I don't need him to cross. I need him to defend, and I need him to drop the ball back to Cresswell, the top of the box, for Cresswell to cross the ball. Because he doesn't seem to be able to cross a ball once he gets past the fucking the 18-yard line. He can't. He can't do it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's the only thing. I don't understand what else can happen. I really don't. I don't think Fornells can't play that properly. He's being asked to do too much. I don't think there's a player in the team that can take that position of what Masuaku was doing. I honestly don't.
Yeah, Selly, when you said something about how
I love Tebow, but he's wrong there. We never get any points from Everton.
No, I thought we were just saying that earlier, Tim.
I think we're respecting them too much. I mean, they've had a couple of good results, but who's their best?
Sally was bringing up the 3-1 win we had under Pellegrini. That's from like September 2018.
Yeah. I mean, we don't play well at Goodison Park. And I know there'll be no fans there, but we do not play well at Goodison. We know this. I mean, we know this. I'm sorry. I'm not confident. Everton are in form right now too. At least I think they are. I feel as though they are. Maybe they're not, and I'm thinking they are. But I think they are. It's funny, Sully. You said something about how we have a team that shouldn't be settling for just staying up, just surviving. And I think you're right about that. I think you're right about that when we have our ideal starting 11 playing, which has Antonio in it and has Masuaku in it. I think the issue is, again, John, as we were saying, the squad is so thin.
Mm-hmm.
The squad is so thin that I mean, one or two, and we haven't even had a real key injury yet. A real key injury is Rice or Suchek. Right. Rice or Suchek goes down, and we're in a heap of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple of injuries, which are going to happen, they're always, and we're scrambling. We're just totally scrambling.
Well, that's why I agree with Costa. Like, our priority number one, amazingly, is not striker in the transfer window.
It's left wing back or left back. It's left back.
I need to be able to play 4-4-2. Like, as soon as we switch systems, we can't. We don't have an A and we don't have a B because our B is injured.
Left back. It's 100% left back.
It's been left back and center mid for 3 years.
I know,
at least. And who's in charge of transfers at the end of the day? The guy who keeps signing strikers and probably could we get a center mid? Yeah. He'll probably say to himself, you know what? Johnson had man of the match, and Masuaku will be back in March, so we're good at left back. That'll probably be it. We'll sign 2 players, midfielder and a striker, and we still won't address left back. If I had to make a prediction, we need to sign 4, at least 4. We're going to get 2. That's my transfer.
January would be a reach anyway. But, I mean, the thing that I will say for the team is, I've said it in the past too, but as crazy as this season has been as far as injuries and mixed up lineups and stuff like that, we are definitely overachieving and playing pretty solid football. To John's point, it could be a lot worse, could be better, but I mean, we're literally middle of the table, which I think is pretty accurate for us right now because of what we have done and also what we haven't done. But I mean, to what he said, we have some draws against some of the top teams. We have some wins against some of the top teams. But, I think outside of the Newcastle game and maybe the first half against Brighton, we really haven't played too bad of football, to be honest, for the season.
No, we've been okay. And this is why I come back to I'm not ready to extend Moyes' contract today. All right. I still say give him Selly. I think you're right. Give him January. Let's see where we are after January. Right now we're in a decent position. We're solidly mid-table. We're not going to get any better than that with his ownership. So right now I would, if you put a gun to my head and said, does he get a new contract or not? I would say yes, but I don't think it's time to make that decision yet, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think I've totally lost my train of thought.
Lee.
I totally lost what I was going to say.
When
John,
Masuaku
what was I going to say?
When Masuaku and Antonio were in the team and we were playing well,
yes,
Was anybody anti-Moyes
No,
at that point?
no.
I mean, was it
No.
not?
No,
was
we
it
were
not
all, it's a
decent
love
to
fest.
watch?
Everybody thought he was a god, John. You remember this? Go back a few
I
weeks.
wouldn't go that far, but
Well, but he was popular, and nobody was. Listen, it's probably out here somewhere. There was a poll on extending his contract, and it was like, oh yeah, extend his contract, do it. Then like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, oh I don't know, it's Moyes out. It's again, it comes down to the owners. Always comes down to squad depth and the lack thereof, and this. And I understand what Dave is saying here, and I understand what a lot of people are saying about But listen, John, I go back to what you were saying. If we had a left back, we could play 4-4-2. Okay, if we had a striker up, if we had Antonio and Aller together, that's a potent combination right there. All right, that's a potent combination.
Yes.
That's gonna work. We're gonna score goals. You cannot isolate Aller. He doesn't work that way. We know this now. Kostya, you said when we were chatting about the show earlier today, you said you were going to defend him. So defend it, because I think I'm with you on this. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no.
He's getting a lot of bashing too.
As a big giant West Ham family, at least those that I see in my local little setting in Washington, or when I'm reading Twitter, or we love a scapegoat.
Yes,
Oftentimes our scapegoat is a manager. Yes. Sometimes our scapegoat can be a player who's too old and is slow. So Kevin Nolan was once a scapegoat in that last year where he really Sam Allardyce was still playing him and shouldn't have been playing him anymore. And I couldn't stand him that year. I was like, why?
Nobody could. Tim, you know this. People hated Kevin Nolan. Now everybody loves him.
Yeah, and this year, our early scapegoat, even though we were doing well, was Fornals.
That's right.
Because Fornals likes to miss one sitter a game.
He does,
give or take.
But she also creates chances, which nobody else
also runs around a lot like a deer in headlights stuff. I mean, he does that a lot. He runs around a lot and doesn't do
or he covers territory.
That's fair.
He tracks back. I mean, it's one of the other. It's kind of both, actually. It's kind of both. Yeah.
So my whole defense of Haller starts with his numbers in the second best league in the world, where he had
second best league in the world. What's the first?
He's talking about Germany.
I'm talking about the Bundesliga, right? Yeah. So a player doesn't get 20 goals and 12 assists, including the Europa League campaign, and isn't any good.
Yeah.
Those two things don't go together. Okay? So who did he have with him at Frankfurt? He had Jovic and he had Rebic, two quick little nippy mix of like Antonio and Bowen around him. Okay? Yep. You can't go into the Brighton game with that stupid lineup. And then after 90 minutes, it's Taller's fault. He's not working hard enough. No, it's because Noble is starting. It has nothing to do with Sebastian Haller. So, the criticism for me should be directed towards Moyes. Because Mikel Antonio is completely different from Sebastian Haller. He's lower to the ground. He's stronger. He holds the ball up. Okay, he doesn't win quite as many headers. He likes to receive the ball on the floor. Okay, his passing is not as accurate. He's been finishing much better, but we are also used to him sailing it over the bar. Okay, Haller is a more accurate finisher. But the problem is you're playing him at the same time that Masuaku's also out. So Antonio looked very good in this new back five. And then all of a sudden Masuaku's out, and you're now in this situation where you have to mess with the lineup, and then you have to put in Haller, and you have to hope that he works miracles, even though now you've disrupted our momentum, and you are not playing the correct people around him. See, if we had depth, if we already had Josh King, I would say don't play Antonio at striker, play him at right mid, let Bowen drop, play him at right mid off of Haller, have that be a partnership, then you have Ben Rama at left mid. being creative. That's the ideal situation for Haller, and we're nowhere near it. Instead, we're playing Fornells, who's not really a left mid, and we're playing Bowen, who's upset. I'm sorry, but Bowen has not been as good in these last 5 or 6 games. He looks a lot selfish. He's taking shots when he should be crossing. He is trying to get a head of steam and pushes down, and he's looking down, and he ends up going too far, almost getting the ball out of bounds. So, I think this whole blaming Haller thing is weak sauce, as we say in America. It's an easy excuse. It's a cop-out. The guy, man, I was watching the Southampton game, and it was 0-0, and I'm like, okay, they're going to blame him again. And they did. But if I was 19 and I had, the whole day to myself, I would literally, because I used to do a lot of more video editing when I had more time. It's fun. I would take a bunch of clips because if you took the time to do it, you could make Haller look like this terrific contributor in the Southampton game, because the amount of times he gets in a tackle, he's past the halfway line, he wins aerial duels, and he's working his socks off. Nobody's receiving those aerial duels because they're not who should be around him. I'm sorry, they're just not. It's not the right lineup for him. It's not the right system. And you can't blame the guy. You can't put it all on him. We've all together been a bad team. It's not one.
I think,
for a big guy, he goes around way too soft all the time. You breathe.
Well, that's everybody in the Premier League. Everybody goes down soft. I don't care who they are. But
yeah, that's true.
One thing I'll say, and I'll keep it short, but the worst thing that happened to Haller is us selling Chicharito at the same time that we brought him in. And I think that was the worst thing that could happen, because that would have been a really good partnership, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. But
Moyes hates Chicharito. That's always been a thing.
Well, Moyes hates everybody he didn't sign. I'm just saying it was.
There's a lot of truth in that too, Stelly.
We talked in the past, these crazy lineups that Moyes has done in the last 2 matches. I don't know if there's something in the water over there in London, East London, whatever. But remember Pellegrini did that all the fucking time, especially that Everton match. Remember that, D?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't the only one. I mean, there was a million times we were saying the same shit about what Pellegrini was doing with the lineups. Like
Everton, that was the one
that nobody would do. There was
that was the one
we had people on the bench that he could have put somewhere and he didn't.
That was the NBC Sports Premier League mornings match, Tim, that we went to in March a couple of years ago.
You put like Obiang and some other nitwit.
I'll never forget poor David from Boston Hammers reading the West Ham starting 11 on NBC Sports with this look on his face, like he can't be serious.
Yeah, so it's not.
I feel sorry for him. I still have the hat. I have the hat. Yeah, still got it. Anyway, it doesn't.
Hopefully, it changes next match though.
Well, I mean, I do wonder about something Sally said, and everybody else has brought this up as well. I mean, is Moyes sending passive-aggressive messages to David Sullivan at this point? Would a manager do that? Would he do that? I mean, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, is he trying to tell him, buy me a striker? I wanted Josh King, you didn't get him for me. I wanted Easy E, and you didn't get him for me. Or, is he trying to send him a message?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think so? I think he is. I think he might be.
Yeah. There was one match where we named 2 goalkeepers to the bench.
That's correct. That was Brighton.
That was definitely on purpose.
But I thought that was because all of our kids had COVID.
Well, yeah, the U23s they weren't allowed on the bench or something. But
all the U23s not tested positive, but were had to quarantine because
But we never have them on the bench anyway. I mean, but there's never a reason to have two keepers on the bench. I mean, why would you ever do that?
I'd do it to put David Martin as sweeper keeper in front of Fabianski to save his ass.
I'll tell you, I'd forgotten that David Martin turned in a couple, not just Chelsea, but he turned in a couple of good performances for us last season. He was actually in goal when we beat Southampton last season. So he wasn't.
It was the match where we were gonna play Diop up front, so Martin may have had to come in and play centre back. That was probably what was going on there.
Yeah, this whole Diop up front thing, that's got to just be a training ground thing, right? I mean, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
No, but you know what the sad thing is?
Than he is a centre back. So
guys, Do you realize that the reason that Diop has to play up front in training is because we don't have enough strikers?
Oh
It's
yeah, I
not
agree.
because Moyes is some weird genius that's like, let me turn a kid who's been playing defense for 10 years let me suddenly put him at striker. No, it's because he doesn't have a backup striker to play in training when Antonio's out. I mean, you could play Yarmo, but Yarmo's like the laziest. I don't know why we even bought that guy for 20 million pounds. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
With
that has
performance against Southampton.
He listen. Now he scored the huge goal against Chelsea after the restart last season, and he scored a couple of big goals for us. But I don't think he's recouped. I don't think we've recouped our investment on him. I agree with that.
No.
He's so slow.
Mhm.
Why are we so slow and so old? Our team is so old. I mean, it's gotten a little better with Declan being a captain most of the time, and with Benrahma coming in, although he doesn't get to play much. But I feel as though we're ancient. We're like one of the oldest. Every week we have one of the oldest starting 11s in the Premier League.
Mhm.
This seems outrageous for the Academy of Football to be in this situation. I don't know. Does anybody?
No, yeah, I think earlier, I know we're talking a lot about depth and stuff like that, but one of the biggest reasons why we're doing well, not that we're necessarily doing bad, but that we were doing pretty well to start the season off is because there was consistency.
Yeah.
Not only did we have, obviously Masuaku was in, but the starting 11 was almost always the same, which it should have been because everybody was putting in pretty decent performances.
Yeah.
It's always weird, because we've had two different club record signings that end up being our best paid player on the bench, because they just don't put, consistent effort in. But at the same time, professional sports is one of those things towards, what have you done for me lately? So regardless of who you are and how much you might like a player, if it's working with a certain 11, then it's working. If it's not, then you try to plug in what may work, which is exactly what happened when we switched to the back five. Masuaku and Cresswell just so happen to work that well. But, obviously if you have a left back,
one position, that's what happens.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. It's two players for one position.
Yeah.
But I mean, if the change was a 4-4-2 and it was working, then, it's just because – players were able to play their position at the best level with that formation, which is what the five in the back did for us.
Yeah.
So I think if changing it up has definitely been a reason why I think we have been faltered lately, is because we don't have a lot of consistency. Without, Masuaku, that's fine because you're not always going to have, your day one starting 11.
Right.
But, I think once he can choose on a team and a formation that he wants to play with, I think we'll continue to be fine.
A week after by the way, thank you to Tim for coming on. He had to go. He let us know in our private chat. So appreciate Tim coming on. It's good to see him. Sally, one thing we talk about, I feel, is a week after week we say the same thing. No identity, no consistency. And even, this is interesting, a comment from Foe, which I sort of agree and I sort of don't. I don't think we have a very good plan B. But Moyes can't decide right now, do we have a back five or a back four? He seems to be – he's waffling when he doesn't have the 11 players he wants. Mm-hmm. And I get that. And I don't really blame him in a sense because we do have a thin squad. But I feel as though there's no identity. We can't – we won't keep a manager long enough to let him have any sort of say. And if we do keep him, he has no say over who comes in. He doesn't get to buy the players or evaluate the players. It's all Sullivan. Yep. Sullivan brings you a gift, like he did with Allardyce when whoever it was came in and was trotting around the pitch, and Sullivan's like, "I got your striker." And Sullivan has no consistency. He has no football mind. We have no identity as a club. Who are we? What are we?
I don't know. Recruitment is horrible. What recruitment?
Our defensive midfielder is our only scout.
Our plan A is last season's plan B, and now the plan A is messed up because the players are injured, and so we can't even play the plan B from last season. We can't play last season's plan A, which is now plan B, and we don't have a plan C, which is shit out of luck. There's just there isn't the depth, there isn't the balance, there isn't the recruitment.
Right.
The entire thing is based upon whims. It's reactionary constantly. Is not having any kind of ambition or any standard. There's no standards in the club. There's no standard of excellence. There's no standard of continuous improvement. There's no standard of doing things better and trying to continue
and there's
to
no
do
philosophy.
things the right way.
There's no philosophy. We're not playing beautiful football. We're not playing defensive football. We're not parking the bus, but we're not trying to be Giozola and have us out there dazzling. There's no philosophy at all. Boyes is a pragmatist, and I get that because he has to be with this ownership. But nobody, we don't know who we are week to week, and I think that was really glaringly evident with the Brighton starting 11. Where we all looked at that and said, "Where did that come from?" Because we don't know who we are. We don't know who we can be with injuries and with players needing to rotate and rest. It throws us into total chaos because, as you said, John, there's no plan.
Well, no, I think another reason too our depth is also so poor is because anybody from the academy that we could put in temporarily, kind of band-aid it is on loan right now. Anybody who's shown any kind of promise in the last, season and a half isn't with the club right now. So I don't know if a lot of the transfer window in January is going to be recalls, like with Holland or Coventry or whoever. I don't know if Coventry's on loan, but, I think if we don't go out and buy people, we just have to turn to the academy, at least for the rest of this season, to try to Band-Aid over those issues. Because it's not as if, a lot of the players that we have on loan are poor. Look at Silva. We don't know what he has yet, but we're not going to find out because he's not with us.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not no interest in really investing in youth.
Right. No, I get that.
And when we get a youth player, it does really feel like Football Manager. As New Hampshire Hammer eloquently put it. Like when we buy these players, I'm like where did we get Giancarlo Cardoso from? From Portugal, some team in haven't seen anything good coming from him. And then this other defender, what is his name? Fredericks. We just got this kid from Holland. Frederick Alves.
Alves. Yeah, the young guy. Yeah.
I read some scouting reports that were like shocked that we would buy him. Like it didn't make sense. Like he's not gonna be much. And I've seen a couple others, that said that he was okay, but I feel like when we buy these youth players, we're really taking a shot in the dark as well, and there's no plan to it, and I'm sure it's based on an agent fee here or there, and who's cheapest, who's available on a very low wages.
We're only going to buy from Will Salthouse or Slavia Prague. Or some club that's desperate to sell a player on the cheap. That's it. That's all it's because we have no scouts, we have no relationships with anybody else, and we've burned our bridges with I don't know how many other clubs. Brentford being the latest one, probably with Benrahma.
We'll see about that. I'm not sure that we burnt that bridge. There was a ITK on Nisa Mother Brown that implied that actually there legitimately was a thing about Benrahma's blood that did delay the deal, and I'm maybe that's me being wishful thinking because I really want Josh Da Silva or Rico Henry or even both. Could we do both? Would really help us out. So, but I don't know if we have the money for that.
See, I don't think we do park the bus in the Sam Allardyce sense. All right. We've scored a lot of goals. We have a positive goal differential at this point. It's not only 2 goals, I think, but it's still positive at this point in the season. I don't. This is not the Sam Allardyce team that every match we won was 1-0. If we didn't win, it was 0-0, and if we scored, it was over. It was over because he didn't know what to do. I think we've matured from that. I think we're a little better than that. You saw it again. You saw Allardyce today when they go down 5-0, something like that. Because once his team gives up a goal, they go flat, and we're not like that. We've come back. We've had some fight back. The Tottenham draw, even against Brighton, we were down twice, came back twice. Palace, we came back and rescued a point. I know these are not teams you want to rescue a point against, but it shows that we're a little different from what we were when Allardyce was there. And once the levee broke, the flood came in, and we were done. I think Moyes has moved past that a little bit. To be honest, but yeah, that's a great old song by a band called Point Blank from Irving, Texas. They did a song called Penthouse Pauper years ago. You guys check that out one of these days. But anyway, it's it all comes back to the same thing we say every week. It all comes back to David Sullivan. It comes back to a lack of infrastructure, a lack of a plan, all that stuff, which is why I continue to say I don't think we're going to do better than David Moyes. I don't know. People will throw out names like Pochettino. Man, he's not coming here.
No, he's going to
get outta
PSG.
here. It's Toikel, whatever his name is, the guy who just got sacked from. I'm going to say it. The guy who just got sacked from PSG. Tuchel, Toikel, whatever his name is. He's not coming to West Ham. Are you crazy? He's not going to. No, that's not going to happen. We're not getting those guys. Every time we've replaced a manager, there's been some big name. Remember, it was going to be Benitez, and it turned out to be Slaven Bilic instead. Every time when we've hired Zola years ago, there were a bunch of names swirling around who was going to, end up being a guy who had like almost no management experience coming in to manage us. That's the way it always is because nobody else is going to come here. So, Pochettino. Well, I didn't even see this. I knew that they sacked. The other guy. But point being, they're going to go to clubs like that. Which is why Moyes is it's good as we're going to get for the time being. And he's experienced. He's fine. He's fine. It's not great. I understand if you're ambitious, you want somebody better, more ambitious, maybe younger. I get that, but we are not in that position right now. To me, I know Charlie disagrees and Fo disagrees. I respect how those guys feel, and yeah, I would still take him too, but he's not coming. He's not.
Would you? I got nothing for Benitez.
I mean, I don't know that he's that much different from Evan Moyes, to be honest. So I don't know that it's an upgrade.
I think I would take him over Moyes, but just by a hair, just barely. But I think I would.
And this is another thing I agree with, and I feel this way too. These draws, John, this goes back to what you said earlier about how spoiled we've somehow become. We've forgotten that last season we barely stayed up, basically. These draws, even the home draws, I promise you we lose that Brighton game last season under Pellegrini. I promise you we lose to Palace under Pellegrini.
Absolutely.
We did lose to Palace twice.
Absolutely. And so my point is, Lee, Moyes' ball with Antonio and with Masuaku was entertaining.
Yeah.
Yes,
entertaining. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed players, and they're still doing it, working 100% and giving everything. And I enjoyed us creating chances. I enjoyed Antonio bullying defenders. I enjoyed Masuaku skipping past people.
Leicester
Right now, those two players are not available.
Great games.
So give the man those two signings, get us another striker, get us a real left back that can play either in a 5 or in a 4 so that we have an option where we can do either one of those things no matter what we want to do. Because right now we can't do that. We can't do it. It's as simple as that. And Moyes' ball in that system, I was fine with. Was there anybody here that wasn't fine with watching the product on the pitch when those two were playing?
No.
I thought when we go. I know we always go back to these two games because they were back to back. But again, Leicester and Wolves, or Wolves and whatever the order was, Wolves and Leicester. Those, fantastic performances by us. And I know we didn't have 75% possession. I don't care about that. It was fun to watch, and we wanted. It was easy, And he's capable of that again with with the right players, but he doesn't have them because they're injured, and our owners won't back him. But it's not all Sam Allardyce. It's not all boring. It's not all parking the bus.
I don't think so. We're not smashing it 40 yards up the pitch anymore.
No, it's not all Route 1 either. Yeah, we get some decent crosses in. We get some decent movement in. So, it's right now we're in survival mode. Not survival from relegation, but survival in terms of we have injuries, we have to rotate the squad. Scratching out points at Southampton, if we get one out of Everton this weekend, that'll be or not this weekend, but Friday, that'll be fantastic. Scratching out points like this, we didn't do it last season. That's why we're 6-7 points ahead of where we were then. We've got a manager who can do that. And yeah, this Trevor says this, and he's right. I don't know if we talked about this on the show or before the show. We are Southampton's bogey team, which is why I thought we were going to win that game. But anyway, and yes, Brighton is our bogey team. All the B teams, I've said this before, Burnley, Brighton, go back to Blackburn, Bolton, go back as far as you want. Selly has, we've lost him. Selly, come back. Anyway, let's talk about Everton a little bit, since that's the next thing that's coming up. Any thoughts? I have no way to predict who we're going to see because God only knows at this point. What do you think is going to happen? Who starts? Who plays? Who doesn't play? What happens? Anybody want to jump in? We've had a lot of attrition in the ranks tonight.
Yeah. Look, I don't make it a habit anymore of trying to predict what David Moyes is going to do, because it's often the last thing I would have done. And he'll do it just like that Brighton lineup. So I am hopeful that Brighton experience was a one-time error. And I think that he, maybe didn't want to admit it exactly in that press conference after the game, but he kind of hinted toward it a little bit, and so hopefully we don't see that again. But I would hope for a back five, like I've said all show. And I think when he looks at Everton, he sees them in, what are they, in third? Right, they're doing well.
They're doing really well.
I think if you're going to play a back five against Brighton, you should probably play a back five against Everton.
Oh, I think we have to. If we don't you? That's how I feel.
I actually don't get the Craig Dawson love fest. I wouldn't necessarily start him.
Oh yeah, now you mentioned this earlier today, Kostya. Why?
Yeah,
I think if he doesn't take Che Adams' head off, he's less popular than he is right now.
Sure.
Well, don't get me wrong, and I will admit, and you guys know who are on Twitter. I did not see the game live. It had a big whole mix up, so I only really saw highlights of it. So I can't speak to it. Authoritatively as I'd like to. But anyway,
look, he kicked Che Adams in the head, and he had a couple moments that look really good, where he stuck in for a tackle and cleared it, and it looks good. But then there's few times where he was pretty awkward with the ball, and he doesn't really know how to pass out from the back. He doesn't have any finesse to him. He's not connecting quickly with the outside fullbacks. He's looking more to boot it through the midfield.
But at one point, we love players like that, though, don't we, Kostya? We love guys like that. We love.
I don't. I'm sorry. I don't. I like.
You get the Julian Dix comparison coming up. You know what I mean? Like tough guys. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about.
No, I mean, look, I think he's a great player to have in for training, but I would hope he's the emergency center back, and I would rather see. We have lots of center backs, so I'd put Cresswell at left wing back, but he doesn't have to run up and down as much. Maybe bring him back at left center back and play Johnson there. I'm just concerned about Johnson's crossing because he's not left-footed. But either way, back five with Cresswell, Ogbonna, Balbuena, Kufal, and Ben Rama, who's not going to start. So I'm expecting a back five. That's the only thing I can predict, though, because he seems to mix it up so much.
Robbie's got Johnson at left wing back. So you see what he's got here. What would you think about this? I'm not sure Johnson.
I like Balbuena more than Dawson. I like Jop more than Dawson.
Oh, actually, yeah, you're right, Dawson. Yeah. Well, Issa's had a tough season. I know he hasn't played much, but he's had a tough season. Kind of at fault for the Palace goal. He hasn't been great. I like him. I don't want to get rid of him. Okay, a lot of people want to get rid of him. I don't think we should. I think he's still a good young player. He's like 24 or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it's been tough, and it's trial by fire to go in against a club like Everton. I don't know if that's going to work or not.
Balbuena.
Yeah, but you would put. So tell me again your three center backs. Sorry.
I keep going back and forth. I would put Cresswell at left center back, Ogbonna, and then Balbuena. Yeah.
And would you have Johnson at left wing back then?
Yeah, but I think you can have him and Cresswell switch a little bit, and play interchangeably, and make it kind of rotation.
Makes sense. All right, Sully, what do you think, Everton? We're sorry, I don't know. We lost you and you came back. We're just talking about like what's going to happen against Everton. Who starts? Who plays? What's the formation? What do you think?
I mean, I understand what Dawson or what Kostya was saying about Dawson, but I mean, for somebody who hasn't played a minute all season, for him to play, even playing halfway decent is probably better than what most people were going to give him credit for. And I think even if he, the whole, scissor kicking the dude in the head, if that doesn't happen, I think, he wasn't at fault for any reason why we were even close to losing the game. So if he plays again, cool. I don't think he will, just because I think whoever he was given rest to is going to come back in.
Yeah,
Unless he
that'd be Balbuena. Yeah,
Dawson. Yeah, I mean, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Balbuena and Diop play together. But I think for this game, if we want to have a chance, we have to put some pacey players in. So I think we probably should play Fredericks on the right and give Kufal a day off, or put Kufal on the left. I don't know. I mean, I think we should. Whoever's behind our striker, whether that be Antonio or Hilaire, I think it has to be, Bowen, Balbuena. Wow. Bowen, Ben Rama, and Fornals, mainly because all three of them basically had, at least the first half of last game off. So there shouldn't be any reason why they can't play.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Noble in for either Rice or Suchek, if I'm being honest.
That would be a disaster, though.
I mean, it would be a disaster, but like I said, that'd be 3 games in a week that those two would play together.
I know.
Yeah, I think you're right, as much as I hate to say it.
And they both play pretty much every minute all season.
No, yeah.
So, or if not Noble, then you put Snodgrass in. But I mean, at the same time, it's Noble's position. So as much as, I might not want to see it, it's a smart move to make.
Well, if we had cover for them, it wouldn't be a problem, right? But we don't. So
sure,
Noble's not cover. He's 50 years old.
I think the one hype thing that people are going to get excited about is that there's going to be many changes from the last game, which is obvious because you're not putting that same starting 11 out. And if he does, I think we'll struggle just because, I guess it all depends on who Everton start. But I mean, if they win, they go 7th. If we lose, I mean, we can't technically do worse than where we are now, except for results from behind us.
Right.
But I mean, go for it. Why not? I mean, there's no game in this league that you shouldn't go for. And that's against everybody. I know you might have to set up defensively, but you can still do that in a smart way.
Would you not start a back 5 then? Would you go 4?
For this game I would, but I'm not putting in 8 defenders. I'm not doing that again.
Why that happened, I have no idea. Do you want to see Ben Rama start?
Yes, 100%. There's no reason for him not to start, especially in a game like this where, as John was alluding to earlier, we're going to need some pockets of possession, and he can help us out with that. So I think he needs to start.
Yeah. Do you think he will? Let me ask you that.
No, I don't think he will because Moyes hate them.
Yeah, succinctly put. John, what do you think is going to happen?
I think we're giving them far too much respect. I've said that a few times tonight. They're a good team. Everton's a good team.
They terrify me, and they tore us up in that League Cup game, which I know was, it's a League Cup, but still. We had a lot of our better players out there that day, and they shredded us. So
they're okay. They're a good team. They're winning games. They've lost some games. That seems to be the league this year. There's a lot of teams that are winning a decent amount of games and also losing some games that you wouldn't expect them to.
They come in fresh because Manchester City had a COVID outbreak, and they haven't played. They won't have played for a week when they play us.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that make a difference? I don't know if that makes a difference.
I have no idea. Who knows? Maybe it helps them with injuries. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows, right? But I mean, say the word Everton, and we're all like, "Oh fuck, Everton." But say the word Man United, and everybody's like, "Oh, they're not that great, right?" Man United, they're okay. They're beatable. They're in second place. Man United are in second place.
I know. You're right.
Very strange league, right? Like there's just a lot of stuff going on. I don't think every team is beatable. Even Liverpool beatable. We were close to Liverpool this year.
I got to
for Salah diving.
Right.
I got to tell you, Everton in the month of December so far.
It's a bogey team league. I mean, they've been a bogey team since as long as I've followed West Ham.
Since long before I started supporting West Ham.
Yeah. Right? So I mean, I think Noble probably comes back in. Yeah. As I think Sally said or Kostas said, Noble comes back in. It's probably, and as long as he can sit his ass on Gylfi Sigurdsson for the entire 90 minutes, then maybe we'll be okay. Because Sigurdsson just seems to show up, and it's a player I wanted West Ham to buy 12 years ago, and we never did.
We never
and
do.
he just comes back and just every single time he seems to be the standout player, no matter who he plays for when we play.
Would you run the back five, John?
What I would do and what I think will happen are two completely separate things.
Yeah.
So,
Tell me both. Yeah, tell me both.
well, what I think will happen is we will continue to do what we've been doing because we can't really do a back five. So we'll do the four with Cresswell on the left. I think Noble potentially will come back in. I think Bowen will come back in because his work rate and his defensive ability is better than Yarmolenko. I don't think Ben Rama starts. I think it's still Aller up there. And I think we still have the issue that our striker's isolated and we can't get wingers next to him. So, we will see the same problems that we've seen the last few weeks. But how do you solve that? I don't really know. We don't have the personnel.
We don't have the players, yeah. So if all that happens, what's the result of the match in your estimation, in your mind, your prediction?
I mean, the way we've been trying to play things out is just keep it close and scrappy and nick a win, which has worked in a couple of situations.
Yeah.
I was kind of encouraged by the last performance. I thought that at least in the second half with some of those changes, there was some hunger there. And who knows? It's one of those games again, and a lot of the games this season are this way, and it's cliche. I think the first goal means a lot to whichever team gets it. I think the first goal means a hell of a lot, and if you can build that momentum and get a bit of confidence and play a little more openly and freely, you'll probably nick it. So I don't know. I'm hopeful. I think they're a team we can beat. I don't think there's a team out there this season apart from maybe Liverpool that we cannot beat. They're all there for the taking.
Can we get a result with Cresswell at left back and Mark Noble on the pitch?
I think we could. Cresswell didn't do too bad the last game. He wasn't terrible against Southampton. There were a couple of balls that almost went over his head that he recovered.
He gained a lot of confidence though,
and did okay. Was it the Brighton match? I think he may have been at fault for both of those goals positioning wise. I mean, he was pretty poor, but I don't know. I mean, we need. It's not Mark Noble, is it? It's pace generally.
It's pace.
It's pace generally. It's not Mark Noble. I mean, Noble's at least going to get on the ball and not give the ball away. I think that's why he came back into the team instead of Ben Rama was giving the ball away all the time. So I don't think it was a case of we need Mark Noble. I think it was we need somebody a bit more reliable.
That's true. I shouldn't pick on Noble as much. He's a legend, and we all love him. And I don't mean to be harsh toward him. It's pace. All I want to say is Leverton in December. If you guys haven't looked, 4 wins, a draw, and a loss. The loss was in the League Cup against Manchester United, so he kind of tossed that one out. In the Premier League, 4 wins and a draw. The draw was against Burnley to open the month, and then they've beaten Chelsea, they've beaten Leicester, they've beaten Arsenal, and they just beat Sheffield United a few days ago. Sheffield United, that's pretty much it.
All right.
But I mean, that's a good run. You got to admit, it is
a good run, and we should have beat Arsenal. We beat Leicester. I'm sure if we don't beat Sheffield United, we're doing something very wrong this season.
Well, we almost did, but that was close. All right, Costume. What do you think? I haven't asked you yet, have I?
You didn't ask me for a score prediction. No.
Tell us what you think's going to happen. All the stuff.
I think John is very accurate with the lineup, what he expects to see, and I think we'll be down 1-0 at halftime. I think we'll put in a couple more adventurous offensive players, and then we'll come back and tie it, and then they'll somehow get a goal around the 80th minute, and we'll drop our heads and be sad, and it'll be a 2-1 loss. That's kind of what I'm. I hope for better, but that's kind of the feeling I'm getting.
I fear that we're in for something like what we saw against Chelsea, where not unlike what you just said, actually, where we hold out. Maybe we go a goal down, we hold out, but we can't hold out for 90 minutes. And I think, they're going to be fresh. We're going to be tired. Although sometimes I think that works the other way. You know what I mean? Every season we get into the situation where we play Manchester United or Arsenal or Chelsea right after they play a Champions League game midweek, right? They play on Wednesday, Thursday. They come and play us on Sunday, and we say we're fresh, we haven't played in a week. They just played, Leipzig or whatever midweek. They'll be tired.
Happened this year.
Happened this year. They come in and they beat us, right? Because they're in form. They're rolling. You know what I mean? Selly, you watch hockey. You know what I'm talking about. Well,
Yeah.
cost you. You get the team that sweeps, right? You get the 4-0 sweep in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and then the team waits a week and a half, and they play a team that wins a 7-game series. And the
2007 World Series, Rockies and Red Sox.
Exactly.
Rockies had 9 days off and got absolutely dominated for 4 straight games.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Because the Red Sox took the Cleveland Indians or the Cleveland baseball team to 7 games.
I remember it very well. Obviously, yeah. I mean, you see it in baseball. You see it in maybe a little less in basketball because those dominant teams are so dominant there. But you see it in hockey. The 7-game series. It's a brutal series. Goes all, and then you get the matchup of the team that won in 7 and the team that won in 4. The team that won in 7 comes in and wins, and sometimes in like 5 games. You know what I mean? So I think in a weird way, I think facing Everton as quickly as we are after Southampton, it doesn't necessarily hurt us if we feel confident going into the game and if they're maybe a little complacent, But go ahead.
Sorry, I think a big part of Everton's December form was the fact that they had fans there longer than anybody else in the league. Up until this weekend, they had fans all month.
That's interesting.
Them and Liverpool. The city of Liverpool had fans, and nobody else could until just this week. This is going back to when everything opened back up for people could allow, 2,000 fans and stuff. So,
yeah,
I think playing in front of your own people, even if it's a small amount, I think that definitely helps a lot, and I don't know. I don't know if I would say that we'll lose. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it's another draw, just for the same fact that, like obviously we'll be informed. So I'm sure we'll get some goals. But at the same time, I think you're going to go up against the best that Everton have as far as the starting 11 since they have been off.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think that they are afraid of us because of what happened in the Cup. So I think that it's a game that they can overlook us and we could take advantage of that. So I think maybe at worst we get a draw, but I can see this as a game that we nick. I think we're due for one. So this could definitely be the game that we do it.
Lee.
Yes.
So what we haven't talked about, right? Last time Antonio came back from injury, he went right back into the team. This time we've tested him out with 15, 20 minutes, or was he on for a whole half? I don't even remember.
About half an hour, yeah.
Is he starting?
That's Probably. A good question, John. We should have brought that up. I don't think he will, because, he didn't. I mean, he probably should, but I'm not confident that he's got 90 minutes in him, or even 75 minutes. You know what I mean? I don't know that he's ready for that. The only way to know that is to see him on the training ground. We don't know what he looks like. You know what I mean? He looked.
I don't even think he would need to play that much. I think he probably starts and they split the halves. If I'm being honest, or maybe you get 60 from him. Because I don't think it would be smart to put Antonio for 90 minutes for a little while. So if he does start, it would make sense. Let him get a run out, give him a half, maybe at most 60 minutes, and then bring Haller on. I think that'd be where you go. Or vice versa. You give Haller a half or 60 minutes and then switch it up and put Antonio on. I think it just depends on what the game is looking like.
See, my concern is that Moyes is going to set up defensively, and he's not going to risk Antonio, that he's going to want. We have Everton, and then we have this kind of a little break, and then you have the FA Cup match, right? Who was it? I can't think of who it is. Anyway, it's
Stockport.
Is it Stockport?
Stockport County.
Is it Stockport County?
Yep. Am I crazy? I'm pretty sure.
I think it's Stockport because I remember watching them get promoted in the playoffs some years ago, and I don't know, just they stick in my mind for some reason. But the schedule eases out quite a bit here after New Year's Day. It is Stockport County. Yeah. We have the New Year's Day game, and then it's 10 days before Stockport County, and then
right 10 days for David Sullivan to pretend to buy a left back.
Oh,
and then those 10 days pass, and we still don't buy a player, and we buy them all in the last 5 days.
You guys know as well as I do, okay? The transfer window opens on January 1st, 2nd, whatever it is for every other club.
Yeah.
The transfer window opens for us at 11:59 p.m. on January 31st. That's when we start trying to do deals, is with a minute to go before it closes. But you have a long break after Everton. You have 10 days for Stockport County, and then 5 more days before. And that's obviously, I'm thinking Stockport County, you're not going to see necessarily the full strength starting 11. Then you have 5 more days before you get Burnley at home. I'm wondering if we save Antonio as a starter until mid-January when he's going to be, when we have a run where it's Burnley at home, West Brom at home, and then we go away to Palace. I mean, you got to think you got to be hoping for at least 7 points out of that. I mean, you really do.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's not going to play in that FA Cup game, and that would mean he gets 2 weeks, a little more than 2 weeks to heal after the Everton game. So I would do what they're kind of talking about in the chat, which is I would start Antonio at right midfield, which this is not going to happen whatsoever. But I would start him at right mid, play him with Haller, and then when he runs out of juice a little bit, to be cautious in the 60th minute, put in Bowen or put in Yarmo. Probably Bowen.
That'd be a game you would want to start Bowen on the other side or somebody, because that's a lot of pace for your wingers.
Yeah, I put Benrahma at left mid, but
I would love to see Antonio start and do about 60 minutes. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
I have no reason for thinking this. I just don't feel it happening because Moyes has been so unpredictable with the starting 11s lately. But we know he loves Antonio. We know he has faith in him and he believes in him and he trusts him. So I think if we start Antonio, we nick an early goal, it changes the game completely. As you said, if we score first, I think we have a real shot.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, is he ready for more than half an hour? I have no idea. I have zero confidence in this game. In fact, I have so little confidence that I will break my own rule. I will pick West Ham to win. I think we win 1-0. Because I'm so sure we're going to lose that I cannot jinx us. See how that works? It's like a reverse. You know what I mean? It's like a double reverse. I mean, listen. It's Goodison Park where we never win. It's Everton. We never beat Everton. On paper, they're in form. They have a better team than we do with our injuries. I mean, they should beat us. It should go to form. They should beat us like 2-0, and it should really not be a big deal. So I say we win this thing. I say we turn them over.
That's why you play the game, right? I mean, you got to
play the game.
And like John said earlier, I don't think you can, not you specifically, but us as fans or even pundits or whoever, no game is predictable this year.
No, you're absolutely right.
Look at, and the thing that's crazy too is you look at like goal differences right now. The second best team with goal difference is Villa because they beat a team 7-1, and Manchester United got routed 5-1 at home by and stuff like that.
By Tottenham, wasn't it?
Yeah, by Tottenham.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sitting here saying that West Ham are going to go out and put 5 past Everton, but you never know. I mean, in the year of COVID, or the year and a half of COVID, really, season and a half, if you will. I mean, it's who knows? I don't know. I think it'll be a much more entertaining game than our last two, because I think our last 2 games you had Southampton just really didn't want to lose ground in the race, and Brighton didn't want to lose because they were sitting right at their sweet spot at 17.
Yep.
So and then I think we were kind of comfortable in not wanting to go too attacking for probably the same reasons, but I think this will be a very back and forth game. I don't know. I think, I don't know. I wouldn't say there's no reason to be no confidence, if that makes sense.
I mean, I hope so. I have a Pavlovian reaction to Everton. It's always the same. You know what I mean? It's I see it and I just I cringe. But again, I mean, as you said, Sully, as everybody has said, it's bizarre season. Look at Liverpool today, having a 4 draw against Newcastle. They're in a title race. They can't beat Newcastle.
And they drew West Brom. They haven't got a win in the past.
They drew West Brom, and it's nothing makes any sense. And the other thing about Brighton is as much as I hated the starting 11, that's one of those wounded animal situations where it didn't entirely shock me that we drew that match because it's getting to be Christmas or past Christmas now. We're getting to the turn here pretty soon in the season, and they're getting desperate. They don't want to go down, and we all know if you're sitting in that bottom three in December and January, it's really hard to get out. Really hard to get out.
Yeah, I mean, and the positive you can take out of that Brighton game is the fact that we came back twice.
Again, under Pellegrini that never happens. Under Sam Allardyce that never happens. You know what I mean? First goal and it's we're done. Yeah. So yeah, okay. I mean, you don't want to draw at home. I get that, but yeah, I think you're right about that. All right. Well, it has been almost 2 hours. Ray, I know Ray was giving us a hard time about going for 2 hours. I'm keeping poor Kostya up all night. Kostya's got a little. How old is it?
Joe turned 3 October 10th, so he's 3 and a couple months.
So he's 3 and a couple months.
Yeah, he's doing really well in the living room. I've only heard him call my name like once or twice, which is below the normal number.
Yeah, my boys are 10 and 7 now, and so which means they pretty much sleep through the night. You know what I mean? Sometimes my 7-year-old has nightmares, but when you have those little kids, man, John's gonna get there. You're gonna know what those toddler years is brutal. It's so hard.
I mean, he doesn't get nightmares.
Really?
Yeah, he's never woken me up with it. Not yet. No. I mean, he's got big brothers, my stepsons, and they're playing Fortnite.
That's true.
He does see a little bit more violence than a toddler who's the first 12 and 11.
Oh, so he's got So they're lighting the path for him.
Right. It's not just him. Exactly.
Okay. Well, that makes sense because my 10-year-old is he's kind of an introvert. You know what I mean? And so he's a wonderful big brother, and they love each other. But he's not like it's not like Andrew follows in his footsteps. He wants to, but it's kind of because Isaac is an introverted kid, and but anyway, it's they're little like that. You never know what you're gonna get. David was now
box of chocolates.
Well, but right. Although I hated that movie, I hated Forrest Gump. I thought it was a terrible movie.
I wasn't praising it. I was just the cliche from it. That's all.
I didn't even finish it. It's like 7 hours long anyway.
Wow.
It goes on and on, but yeah. Dave's agreeing with me. Now, what I don't have yet is teenagers. All right, my teenage nieces were at the house today, and of course they're girls, and it's different. But teenage drama is real,
So I sit my little one down on my knee when West Ham are playing and make her watch Aaron Cresswell play left back, and that way we get all the nightmares out during the daytime.
My boys love West Ham, but they never watch the games. And if they do, they watch like 20 minutes. Ken knows what I'm talking about. Tim, they've been over at my house to watch games in the past. They'll sit down for like 10 or 15 minutes and they'll watch, and then they go do something else, because they're not really TV kids.
Mm-hmm.
They're the YouTube generation that watch 5 minutes and they're like, go do something else. But yeah.
I feel like I need to retract that, by the way. I really like Aaron Cresswell. I just don't think the system suits him.
He's great at left center back.
Right. He's a center back. Yeah.
He's up there in the assist leaders.
He was great.
4 or 5
cover with Masuaku. Not that he's poor. He's not. He's not poor. He's not doing anything wrong. I think he's definitely one of the better people who provide service. Obviously, I mean, he takes all our free kicks. But the reason why he's has such a boost in this season was because he has somebody who could cover for him.
Absolutely. 2 guys played one position and they do it really well together. And then one of them goes down and we're stuck. I love Cresswell, and I criticized him last season like everybody else, and he deserved it. But I've always said, and I even said last season, that I like him. I've always liked him. He's a great servant for the club. And I'll tell you something else I like about him. He's like 5'7", all right? I'm 5'8". I love when short guys are successful athletes. There's nothing makes me happier than, a stumpy guy like me. And he's not stumpy, but a short guy like me being a
you got that all over football.
A world-class athlete. Well, in football, that's true.
Definitely not an anomaly.
You don't have to be all that tall. But, I mean, for a guy who plays at the back, you tend to have taller guys at the back. And I love the fact that a shorter guy is, successful. Like, I was a huge fan of Muggsy Bogues and Spud Webb. Those guys were like 5 foot whatever. So, and basketball players anyway. So I do like Cresswell a lot. And yeah, and I noticed. I mean, I thought he was. Well, I didn't really see the whole game. It doesn't really matter, but I think he's been good all season generally.
I have
But
a
I'm with you,
controversial viewpoint. I think Fornells was the man of the match last game.
Yeah, Cresswell's set pieces were really disappointing. So I think any man of the match conversation for me would be kind of voided with that because
I thought Ryan Fredericks was the man of the match.
Oh, Wally, where's Wally? You still around? Wally, did you hear that? Oh man, don't tell me he's already given up. When
He put the bat signal up.
Yeah, what's going on? Listen, this is true too. Anybody who's
Oh yeah, absolutely.
absolutely
Yeah,
anybody who's
definitely.
been with us for 2 or 3 seasons and is a decent performer or better, that's a fantastic signing by our standards.
I mean, Hammer of the Year in his first year being what Player of the Year for the championship.
Absolutely, Hammer of the Year his first year, and I and by the way, Spud Webb from Dallas. Dave, did you know that he was a Dallas guy? So that's always kind of cool too. But and yeah, I know this feeling as well, especially after Christmas. Man, I'm having to I got this. My in-laws gave me this T-shirt, this Pride of London West Ham. Well, I got nothing but West Ham stuff for Christmas this year, which is great. But first time I put it on, it was kind of comfortable. I got it for my birthday. Now here we are, 10 days later, it's like, yeah, it's a little tight. It's a little tight. So yeah, I get that feeling. Anyway, yeah, Ken is similar in stature to me. We're pretty close in height, so yeah, I'll go with that. Anyway, it's been almost 2 hours. We've done everything I think we wanted to do. It's our last broadcast of this this unprecedented calendar year, and I just want to tell everybody in the chat room who's with us so often, thanks for being with us. We love having you, John. Selly and Kostya, you guys have been on with me a lot. Selly, you in particular, you're on with me pretty much every Wednesday, which is great. Love having you here. You and we're a great team. John and Kostya, you were two of my favorite guys to have on, mainly because Kostya is so quiet and reserved and never really says what he thinks. And John, on the other hand,
I get boisterous because I've watched Pardon the Interruption for 20 years. And so to me, well, that's entertaining. If it ever gets abrasive, let me know. But I'm always trying to entertain. And so when I start to look Italian, I'm not Italian at all. But when I start to talk with my hands and get a little loud, it's because I'm into it.
I'm not Italian either, but I talk with my hands too. And I noticed this when I watched back. My hands are everywhere. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not Italian either, but I have that same habit of, I do that a lot. John, on the other hand, never stops shouting. He's like Stephen A. Smith.
I got John to shout today.
I know you did. I noticed that.
I got him. I got it out of him. It's contagious.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good when that happens. And Sally's always a cool head. Tim,
this is why I can't watch at pubs. It's because I get a bit too into it. I go from 0 to 1,000. There's no in between there. I can't do it. I can't do it in public anymore.
Especially if you're around other fans that are watching and supporting the same team. No, I mean, it's like me. I'd much rather watch a game by myself.
Oh, I'm the opposite with West Ham. I would much rather watch with other people. I hate watching by myself. And the only thing worse about myself is watching with people who don't care. Like, I don't want my wife in the room. I love my wife, don't get me wrong. It's just that I need not to have her in the room. And if the boys aren't going to be focused, which they never are, I don't want them there either. You know what I mean? I hate watching by myself, but I'll do it, especially these days, because you have to, But generally, I like watching with a lot of other people. The more, the better. You share the experience of it. You know what I mean? So like when we're all able to watch again together, I'll watch with Tim and I'll watch with Ken. And we've got a guy here in Lowell. He had a West Ham sticker on his car. I left him a note on his windshield. He emailed me. We got together before COVID started, or actually it was during. We did it outside. But anyway, we have a little group now. I even work with a guy who's a West Ham fan. I found out he's a West Ham fan. So I like that. I the whole, yeah. Hey man, I played until I was 12, Charlie. Come on, give me a break.
Put Wally's comment up if you don't mind.
I was wondering if he was still here. I was wondering if the king was still on his throne.
Well, I think
You're
he had
probably
it on.
Crying too much, so he couldn't get.
I
to
think
the
he
mouth.
had it on. His phone was on sleep, and then it has Ryan Fredericks alerts, and so whenever that pops up, whenever anybody says Ryan Fredericks, Wally wakes up from his slumber.
He's got that new Fredericks shirt. Did you see him? He's got a Fredericks shirt now. He's got a So I think he's like, you guys watch Arrested Development, with the who was the guy Tobias Funke, who was the never nude. He always had like cut off shorts on, even when he took a shower. That's Wally never takes his Frederick shirt off. You know, it's on him like at all times. Did you guys ever see the guy who got the tattoo of the flamingo shirt on his top of his body? The Brazilian guy. Did you ever see that? That was I mean, before. Okay, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna see if I
gotta get to that 2 hour mark somewhere.
Yeah, well, we're getting there. I'm not working tomorrow. See, that's the thing is I have the next few days. Okay, here's this.
We need to leave. Keep going.
Here's what it is. All right, Ray, you still awake, buddy? Ray, where are you?
No, Ray's been gone for a while.
Ray's been gone for a while.
Ray left.
Yeah, that's okay. This dude, this is real. All right, you can see his nipples and all. So just a warning to you, ladies.
Wait, what the fuck? What?
Are you about to end the show with nipples?
I'm gonna.
Is it Ryan Fredericks' nipples?
I'm gonna get the nipples out. No, this isn't a West Ham guy. This is why didn't that work? Here it is. Check this guy out.
Oh wow,
the Flamingo soccer team. Okay, I thought you were talking about.
I know, me too. I really thought you were talking about the bird.
Oh, that's Flamingo. Okay.
I was like a flamingo shirt. I think I know what that is. Like a pink shirt with little flamingos on it.
Flamingos all over it. Yeah.
You gotta really like that kit.
I mean, here's the deal. So now he goes to the match. He doesn't even wear a shirt. He just walks in. He's always got his shirt on. You know.
I don't know why you put a shirt on ever at that point. You live in what, Argentina?
That's a tattoo.
Brazil.
Yeah,
that's a tattoo. Yeah, Brazil.
Yeah, it doesn't get cold in Brazil. Why do you need to put a shirt?
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't get cold. You can go shirtless in Brazil. I think they're totally cool with that. He's fully got the timber. I mean, this dude has a shirt tattooed on his whole body. It took him, I think, years because it's expensive, right? And it's he did it in phases.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that now he never takes his shirt off. Never takes it off. So I guess. I mean, would you get a West Ham? Tim would probably do this. Actually. Tim's got a big West Ham sleeve tattoo anyway. I can't. The tattoo sounds too painful to me. Well, Charlie thought it was the same thing. All right. Charlie thought it was the actual flamingo too. I guess.
I'm yawning.
Would you get a West Ham tattoo like this? Anybody?
No.
Nope. My grandmother said no tattoos, and I said, you know what? They cost a lot of money, so I'm going to honor your word.
I think that they would hurt too much. I'm not a big and also I mean it's my age and stage of life. A tattoo or a sports car is basically a midlife crisis, and I'm trying to avoid that. So my car is 14 years old. I hope to drive it for another 14 years. So yeah.
No, not a full kit tattoo. No, that's
not
terrible.
A full kit. No.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
number 8 on your back. By the time you're 40, it's number 3. Like it's just gonna be so stretched out and shit. Like don't even bother with it.
That's a young guy right there, right? That's that's a young guy. So yeah, that 10 is gonna. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but it's not gonna look like a 10 anymore. It's gonna fold down into probably a 1 or something.
Listen, and of course, there's the issue of badge changes, right? Which we've had. So imagine you get the old tattoo, and
like I said, you just gotta really enjoy it.
Which is fucking hilarious. An uncle of mine's an Arsenal supporter, and he was in jail for a bit, and he got one of those jail tattoos, the Arsenal badge. And they changed their badge in what, like 2002, 2004, something like that.
I was in France.
The first,
and it was the first time in his life that he had the fucking cannon facing the right way around because they flipped it completely around. So he went around for about 20 years with a cannon facing the wrong way. So you've always got to have this problem. And knowing West Ham, who's coming next with these owners? Who knows? They may put the shopping mall in the background on the back of the crest.
I mean, suppose for
the slide.
Here's the thing. Here's my thought. Right? Suppose the ultimate nightmare happens, and your club. And I know Flamengo's a massive Brazilian club. All right, I get that. Suppose the ultimate nightmare happens, and your club it pulls a Barry or it pulls it goes away basically, like goes bankrupt, whatever, just goes away.
Oh.
I mean, I know that's unlikely, but it's happened before. You know,
I don't think that would be as bad because I mean, I feel like if I support a club and the club went away, I'm not getting rid of my shirts. I'm gonna keep them because now they're a keepsake or something. Plus, I mean, I don't think it'll be too long until Barry Football Club comes back.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I guess that's kind of true. They're like they're throwbacks, I suppose. But I don't know. But I mean, what if there's like a horrible? I don't know. I don't know what. It just doesn't seem like a good idea for some reason. That's all. It just seems. Yeah. Well, no, he didn't do that. Did
Charlie
you?
went full on Tyson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, doesn't that teardrop mean you've like killed somebody or something though? Isn't
Yeah.
that signify
Yeah.
something? That's a thing, right? That's a yeah.
Yeah, but he was saying
You get the cross hammer tattoo for every World Cup your team wins.
Craig Dawson's gonna get a crosshammer tattoo teardrop for killing killing Faye Adams with his Cobra Kai no mercy kick. Anyway, yeah, all right, that's too much. It's the end of 2020, thank God, and we hope next year will be better. We hope Monday will be what's it? Friday, whatever
Friday.
day we play. I don't know. New Year's Day. New Year's Day. There's no college football used to rule New Year's Day, and now it's
Still does.
not anymore. Well, but not the way.
It will this Friday. What else are people going to watch on Friday?
There's no proper Rose Bowl, Sally. It's being played in the Cowboys Stadium.
I mean, if TCU was playing on Friday, you're not watching?
Well, that's different. But we're
No,
not
it's
playing.
not.
Our game got canceled. We were supposed to play tomorrow, and we had a COVID outbreak, so it got canceled. So, no, of course, that's different. But I always watch the Rose Bowl. Okay, every year since I was a young kid, I've watched. But there is no Rose Bowl this year. Technically there's going to be a Rose Bowl. It's a playoff game, but they can't play it in California, so they're going to play it in Arlington,
Yeah.
which I guarantee you is not Pasadena. All right, it just isn't. So anyway,
No.
so this Friday, it's all about West Ham, and then we get a little break. So anyway, we'll see you in about a week. Until Friday, come on, you Irons.
Friday Night Lights. Tune in.
Friday. Oh, is it? Were you having one on Friday? Are we doing one? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're doing New Year's. What is it? New Year's Day on Friday. Yeah, sure. why not?
I watched Friday Night Lights last week, and it was really good. I almost never watch shows on our network, but I watched that one, and it was great. So, and is Katie doing a show tomorrow night? She might. I don't know. Is it New Year's Rockin' Eve with Katie? That would be great. Katie's New Year's Rockin' Eve.
As long as Ray ain't dropping the ball, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, the ball dropped. All right. Anyway, all right. Well,
All right.
we'll see you
Happy
guys.
New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.